Yes.
Good morning. I gotta say, this is really a sad day for Rhode Island. Our electric rates today are going up 30%. A year ago, the rates went up 53%. And every 6 months, as you know, the rates go up and down. That's how it's set up. And so a year ago, they went up 53%. Last April 1st, they went down just 11%. And now, here on October 1st, 2018, a year later, they're going up another 30%. 30%. And, I know the Providence Journal has listed that it was 19%. I was asked about this on the radio this morning, but I called the PUC this morning. I tried to get the figures correct, and speaking to one of their analysts there, he told me it was, in fact, 30%. And, we just cannot continue. And so people say, well, National Grid can only do what it can do. Well, I want to say today that I think we need to be doing more. Obviously, you have, the National Grid is doing what they can do, but I don't think, again, it's enough. They actually had, under the tax program from President Trump, their corporate tax rate went from 35% to 21%. They got a $2 billion windfall. Think about that, $2 billion windfall. What are they going to do with that $2 billion windfall? I met with the George Wiley Center. I was with the Walk for the Poor yesterday at the St. Vincent de Paul Walk in Garden City, and talking to people. And as they go door to door, people said, I cannot pay my electric bill now. What am I going to do when the rate goes up? And as I looked at the Providence Journal, as I looked at the Boston Globe this morning, I didn't see one mention of the new rate increase, which I can't believe. No one's even talking about it on the radio this morning. Imagine that. No one's even talking about it. I don't know what people are going to do this winter. So the other thing is, we need to be aware, there's something called scooping. And a year ago, to balance the budget, we had a $60 million deficit. The governor went in and scooped money from various accounts. One of the accounts she scooped money from, the Energy Efficiency Fund. She scooped $12.7 million. So, National Grid gives you a list of things you can do, and one of them, of course, is, make your home energy efficient. Well, we took $12.7 million out of a fund expressly for that purpose. And tell me, it reminds me so much of what we did with 911. We tell people it's going for 911 when it's going into the general fund to be used for other purposes. This kind of stuff has to stop. So I wanted to just let people know, because we need to do something. And if this isn't a critical emergency, the Wall Street Journal today, the headline in the Wall Street Journal, oil rally reignites talk of $100 a barrel for oil. This is in the Wall Street Journal today. What will we do if oil becomes $100 a barrel? It's a frightening scenario. So if we don't think this is a critical issue, then we're fooling ourselves. We need to get on top of this now. This has got to be addressed. And coming in January, we need to start talking about this seriously. So, we're in the middle of election season. We got all our gubernatorial candidates. I want to hear what their long-term plan is for dealing with this energy situation. We have to come up with a solution, and quickly, because things are changing, the rates keep going up. And I just want to make people aware of that. And moreover, as we go forward, they talk about renewals and all this kind of thing, and that's important. But in the meantime, a lot of people don't have access to that. A lot of people are struggling just to pay their day-to-day bills. So what are we going to do about those folks? Again, that $12.7 million, could we have used that to start some kind of an energy fund for those, that are in need? Can we dedicate more money? We have a bloated budget of $9.6 billion. A lot of it is not being used well or effectively, which is why I've argued for an inspector general, why I've argued for line item veto, zero-based budgeting, voter initiative, things that I think are common sense approaches to help with situations like this, but it's not happening. So I'm asking the governor, the speaker, the Senate president to address this issue, and I'm hoping that you will get the word out today, because people need to be aware of that. As I was talking to people, I'm going door to door, I said, did you know your electric rate is going up? And I struggle to find that number. I've heard everything from 19 to 41. But calling again the PUC today, they said that it is 30%. 30%. And you know, in April, it normally will go down about, say, 8.5 cents, because it was 9.5 cents, then 8.5, then it went up now to 11 for this fall. It's 11, and normally it'd go back down 8.5, but guess what? They wanted 12 cents, PUC gave them 11. So in the spring, they're compensating by, instead of giving them 8.5, going to give them maybe close to 9. So again, it's going to impact people and their lives. So, you know, they say, well, National Grid can only do what National Grid can do. But when I see a headline like this, oil can become $100 a barrel, we've got problems and we have to address them. So I want to thank you for that. And if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to take them.
Is there any specific legislation you're thinking about introducing
yes,
in January?
thank you for that. You know, when we first had the 53% rate increase, I put in a bill that would call for, if a rate goes above 15%, it would have to go to the General Assembly for approval. Because you know what? We've got 3 people sitting up at the PUC, and unfortunately, I'm not happy with their performance. I really am not. Right. 2 of them, I think, were appointed by Governor Raimondo, and I think one's a holdover from Governor Chafee. Yes. But they always seem to side with the utilities, not the people. And I've said that in the past, and I'll continue to say it. And, you know, they say they're doing just what they have to do. But if they're not going to do their job, maybe we don't need the PUC. Maybe their time has come and gone. But at the very least, a 15% increase, go before the General Assembly for their approval. Each and every senator and rep would have to vote on it. Right. They'd have to hold hearings. They would have to justify those increases, which I don't think they've had to really do. I don't hear a lot. So I think we can do better. And if the PUC is not going to perform, then maybe we don't need the PUC, and maybe that's another route to go. Get rid of the PUC, go in another direction. If they're not going to address this situation, the ever-increasing prices, and be more active. And if they say that's not their role, then we need to create an agency that is their role. So, thank you for that question, very much so. And this morning I have a mayoral candidate with me this morning, Dede Whitman from Providence. And Dede, why don't you come over? You know, I just got done talking about the fact in the Wall Street Journal today, oil rally ignites talk of $100 a barrel. And here's our recent rates. A year ago, a 53% increase. And in the spring, they made it a 11% decrease. Now, October 1st, the rate I got this morning from the PUC, 30%. Increase. And now they're going to give them usually 8.5. They're going to give them 9 because they wanted 12. They only gave them 11. So, give you a moment to speak.
No, all I can say is that we're pricing out our residents of Providence. It's just a disgrace, and it's always business first. There's got to be inventive, ingenious ways that we can make it affordable for people to heat their homes, to electrify their homes. It is just something that needs to be done. And unfortunately, as Bob said, I don't think the PUC is doing the job. It was originally set up to protect the people, and now it seems to be protecting the company. So that's what I have to say. And
talk about the impact, the small increase on the budget for a city.
It's terrible. It's going to, of course, it'll cost us a fortune as well. We have buildings to turn on the lights, and it's just unsustainable. You cannot keep doing this to residents year after year, and businesses. Businesses are not happy about this either. So,
which is one of the reasons lots of businesses will not come to Rhode Island, because we have some of the highest energy rates in the country.
Absolutely. In addition to our commercial tax in the country.
That's right.
So yes, every day we're doing something that makes Providence a little more unfriendly to be here. So thank you for allowing me to have a moment or two.
No, thank you for coming this morning.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So one of our mayoral candidates, and that's certainly a concern in Providence where there's so many budget challenges. This is one more they don't need. Are there any other questions this morning? Any at all?
Bob, why don't you mention the governor? Where were they, the governor and the attorney general, when he's speaking to the...
Yeah, you know, that's another thing that I really have to talk about. Thank you so much for that. You know, whenever they have the hearings at the PUC, you know how many reps and senators show up? At the most, 3. Yeah. 3 out of 113 sitting members. Where are they? And you know what? I've never seen the governor
Or the Attorney General.
Or the Attorney General at any of those hearings. In fact, when I had my 911 seminar in Providence, Cranston, when we had the FCC commissioner come in, guess what? We had an empty chair. The governor didn't even show up that night to protect folks who are scooping $10 million out of a fund to upgrade our 911. And tonight, I know it's going on one of the TV stations. It's going to be a topic of conversation for the 911 situation again. So this continues. So these are the kind of things. The governor was absent for the 911, and she's absent once again on this issue. In fact, again, I don't hear anybody talking about this today. I don't see anything in print or media. So I want to thank you for coming out and covering this. People need to know this, and we need to hold our public officials and our public utilities folks accountable for what the future may hold. And we got to be taken care of. You know, the best thing or the most important thing I believe a government does is take care of its most vulnerable. And when you fail to do that, you fail as a government. And this is something that's going to hurt the most vulnerable. And I heard people say, you know, we say people are on fixed incomes. Well, guess what? Whether you're working or not, I hear people now who are working say, I'm on a fixed income. I haven't gotten a raise in years. So don't count me out. I'm fixed income too. I need help. So it's across the board. All Rhode Islanders are affected by this. So I thank you so much this morning for your time. And this is an important story, and I hope you'll get it out on your news programs today. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.